Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsBet TV with me, Paul Alster, as I look forward to the third and fourth days of what's already been an extraordinary Cheltenham Festival 2025. If you happen to be new to this service, just finding us on YouTube, press the subscribe button just below this screen. You'll get all my free tips where I'm always looking for decent priced horses each way to get stuck into. Well, we've had 2 days so far at the festival, and here at Sportsbet, we made a slight profit on day one with Famous Bridge at 20 to 1, managing to hold on for the each way place. All bookies were paying 6 places there. Stutzakini, a bad mistake cost him his chance, really, when he was travelling well in fourth or fifth place later on in the day. And then on Wednesday, Eagle Fang. Didn't run badly, but just wasn't good enough. And the ground just eased a little bit too much for So Scottish, who didn't run his race at all on Wednesday. Now, in this bulletin, I'm going to have two selections for you, free of charge, for Thursday, day 3, and also two for the final day, Gold Cup day, on Friday, the 14th of March. If you want more selections than that, then do consider joining me at Out in Front, where there's a link that you can press in the description box just below this screen. Obviously, there's more selections, so more chances there. And so far at Cheltenham 2025, we've had profits on both days, and it's building up quite nicely towards the final 2 days. So I'm pretty pleased with the way things are going, including Jazzy Matty winning for us in really good style on day 2. So if you want to join us at Out in Front, you can do so via the link, and you'll be more than welcome to join the gang for that. Let me take you on to the first of my selections then for Thursday, day 3 at the Cheltenham Festival, where we're expecting the ground will still be more or less good to soft despite snow showers, sleet showers, bright sunshine, quite a breeze as well. I hope it's not going to be much worse than good to soft anyway. Now, my first bet for you will be in the 2 o'clock on Thursday, which is the Grade 2 Novices Handicap Chase over 2.5 miles, where 20 are set to run. I'll be backing a couple in the race, one of which I've highlighted it Out in Front, the other one here in this free bulletin. Well, Nürburgring for Joseph O'Brien was only beaten 2 lengths in the Irish Cesarewitch in the autumn, having won the Galway Hurdle last summer. So it does make sense that he could improve over fences for stepping up in trip. He runs for the first time in a handicap as well, and with a clear round, he could go close. Joseph also runs the decent San Salvador, who won on the flat at Dundalk recently, is another tackling 2.5 miles for the first time. It's a new trip as well for Asian Master, trained by that man Willie Mullins. He's a talented horse, 4th in last year's Supreme Novices Hurdle, and has run well against the likes of Marshborough in his 2 novice chases so far this season. My concern, though, with the best one in the world, is his very tall amateur rider who has I think he's connected to the owners of the horse. I don't think he offers a huge amount of assistance, really, especially at this level against fully fledged and top professional jockeys. And I think because of that, the horse could be found out. Gordon Elliott's Firefox has trip and ground in his favour, and his latest third in the Grade 1 Irish Arkle behind Marshborough was a good effort. He's got loads of class, and he should be very much in the mix, while his stable companion Di Capo is not without hope at big odds, as he failed to stay much further in heavy ground last time and had solid form prior to that at around this trip. Another Irish runner is Answer to Cave for Terence O'Brien, who ran a cracker when 4th in the Martin Pipe at this track last season, and he was very impressive when waltzing home in a Nace Novice Handicap Chase last time. He's gone up £15, and the faster conditions than he encountered last time might just hold him back here. Now, Paul Nichols's Coldwell Potter cost a lot of money. A Grade 1 winning hurdler for Gordon Elliott last season. He probably disappointed connections at the time when third, attempting to give £5 to Django Bai at the December meeting here. But in light, of course, of Django Bai's remarkable Arkle win on Tuesday, that form all of a sudden looks hot. And he was probably beaten by the drop back to just 2 miles last time, and he was second at odds on in a Windsor Grade 2. I think Coldwell Potter has got a big chance. Moon d'Orange for John McConnell showed a fine attitude to score over the course and distance in a Grade 3 Premier Handicap chase in January, just getting the better of Grandeur Dame in a driving finish, and he would have won much easier but for a bad error at the last. He also represents a yard that landed a big Cheltenham handicap with 7 a few seasons ago. Lord of Thunder for Joe Tizard and Pick Rock for Ben Pauling. Well, there was a length and a half between that pair on soft ground over nearly 3 miles at Newbury last time. I think it's open to debate whether the drop back in trip will suit either of them, especially on the faster ground. And so to my selection. Well, he's got a lot of weight, but John Joe and AJ O'Neill's Springwell Bay, ridden by John Joe Jr., is a classy horse who won very impressively over the course and distance on New Year's Day against some seasoned handicappers. I think he's going to develop into a proper graded performer before too long. So despite going up £9 and being set to carry top weight of 11 stone 12, he still appeals as one likely to go very close. Now, 8 to 1 earlier in the day has gone. He's generally 7 to 1 now, each way for 5 places with plenty of firms. And I'm expecting Springwell Bay to run a massive race. I'll be backing him along with my selection that I'm putting up over it out in front in this race. My second race for you on Thursday is the 240 at Cheltenham, the 3-mile Pertemps Network Handicap Hurdle. I'm certainly setting myself a challenge by going for all the toughest handicap races at the meeting. 24 run in this one. It's a race that often sees really ferocious punting in the betting ring and off course. Many a plot has been targeted at this race, and this year's renewal looks right up to standard. Jericho de Repenay, trained by Nicky Henderson, represents the legendary gambler J.P. McManus, and he's been backed down more or less to favourite at around 11 to 2. He's generally run over 2 miles, and that was until he finished third at Exeter last time on his first attempt at Thursday's trip. Now, no doubt, this is a much hotter race, but if he does get home, he might not be far away. And Henderson also runs Doddy the Great, who stepped up to 3 miles for the first time at Haydock 26 days ago, and he ran well to be second in a decent race to One Big Bang, trained by James Owen, who's also going to take his chance here. Now, J.P. McManus also has a strong apparent second string, I say apparent, in the shape of Win Some, Lose Some, trained by Podrick Roach, who's up £13. And that's for a very cosy win over this trip at Leopardstown's Christmas meeting, and he seemingly has been safe for this race since then. And Mark Walsh rides. Feet of a Dancer for Paul Nolan wasn't beaten far in third that day at Leopardstown, and has also been rested until now, and has been a persistent whisper for this race, while his stable companion for Paul Nolan, Maxi Mac Gold, was back in 8th, but has since finished a fine second in a qualifier at Naas, behind Will the Wise, trained by Gavin Cromwell, who also takes his chance off a £10 higher mark, adding plenty of depth to a strong Irish challenge. Lucky Lyrene for Gordon Elliott was a good third, and Patter Merchant for Gordon Elliott was 4th in the Naas race, but I think both may find the slightly quicker ground at Cheltenham against them. Now, although the Irish have a very strong hand on paper, as ever in this race, the fact is that 2 of the last 4 renewals have been won by British horses, both times at odds of 25 to 1, which suggests that bookies and punters have tended to overlook the quality of the local runners. Zane Knights for Lucy Wadham has solid handicap form to draw on, including over the course and distance, and could go well, while Supreme Gift for Henry Daly and Alan King's Harbour Lake are others that could be involved. But my selection, one of 2 I'll be backing in the race, the other one highlighted it out in front. My selection here at SportsBet is Idem, trained by Lucinda Russell and the mount of Patrick Wadge. Now, Idem was available at 40 to 1 each way earlier on Wednesday. Now, best price 33 to 1 each way, with quite a few firms for 6 places. I think it'll outrun its still massive odds. We saw on Tuesday just how Lucinda Russell can lay one out for a handicap, as Mayatown took them apart in the Ultima handicap chase under Patrick Walsh. And the young rider gets on really well with Idem, who lost a shoe but still ran respectably on his previous visit here at the October meeting behind the Stayers Hurdle Hope, the Wall Park. He then went on to win with plenty in hand at Kelso, and then did only as much as was needed to qualify for this race when fourth at Musselburgh in early February. Idam has a pretty low weight, and I think he's going to give a really good account of himself. He is 33 to 1 each way from 40s now for 6 places, and here's my selection for you here. So that is the second of my 2 on Thursday. I'll take you on to Friday, giving you an early sighter of my thoughts for the final day of the meeting. And the first race I'm interested in is another big handicap, although not with the huge field we used to get in days of old. The Cheltenham 2 o'clock on Friday is the 2-mile county handicap hurdle. We're expecting it to remain good to soft, and there'll be 16 runners. Now, for the second year in a row, the field is smaller than is usually the case for what is invariably a red-hot race. And despite an £8 higher mark than when overcoming heavy ground to win the county handicap hurdle 12 months ago, Willie Mullins' Absurd is sure to prove a tough nut to crack, despite not having run since finishing an excellent fifth in the Melbourne Cup, no less, in Australia at the start of November. Paul Townend rode him to victory last year, but this time Paul partners Willie Mullins' Cargess, the early 11-2 favourite for this and a Grade 1 novice hurdle winner at Punchestown last season, after chasing home Marchbury in the Triumph Hurdle before finding only the mighty Sir Gino too good for her at the Aintree Festival last April. She almost certainly needed the run when she was beaten at odds-on by the smart Take No Chances in a Grade 2 hurdle at Ascot 8 weeks ago, and looks well handicapped off 141. So for me, Cargess is the one they all have to beat. Willie Mullins has a very strong hand here, also with the useful flat racer and last time out maiden hurdle winner Ethical Diamond making its handicap hurdle debut, while the top weight for Willie is Daddy Longlegs, who was second to poor old State Man. That was at Leopardstown in the Irish Champion hurdle last time and could still go well despite his big burden. McLaury for Emmett Mullins took a big step forward when landing a very competitive 2-mile listed handicap at the Dublin Racing Festival by a length off a low weight, but I think a £16 rise makes life much tougher in a better contest here. It also looks very much as though Lark in the Morning, trained by Joseph O'Brien, has been trained all season with this race in mind, having won the Boodles handicap hurdle over the course and distance 12 months ago on heavy ground off a £10 lower mark. Now, the betting very much favours the Irish challengers. Only one British trainer in the last decade has won this race, and that's Dan Skelton, who's won it 3 times in the last decade, most recently with Favois, which was my selection, put up at 66 to 1 a few years ago. Skelton's also won it 2 other times, of course, in the last decade. Now, his only runner this time is Valgrand, who hasn't shown very much in 2 handicap starts to date, but has surely been trained to peak for this. He was a very useful novice last season, so could run far better than his recent form figures suggest. And then Cracking Rhapsody for Scotland, for Ewan Willans, is in line for £100,000 bonus if he can win here, having landed the even more valuable Moor Battle hurdle in great style 13 days ago, for which he's got a £5 penalty. Now, he probably hasn't as yet proved himself quite a good horse away from Kelso, but connections will surely be giving it all. They're all with such a big carrot as that 100 grand being dangled in front of them with Cracking Rhapsody. My selection, though, for you here at SportsBet is Hansard, trained by Gary and Josh Moore and the mount of Niall Houlihan. He's always been a good horse. He was a close 4th as a novice in the 2023 Grade 1 Top Novices hurdle at Aintree. He only had 3 runs last season. They included chasing home Rebo in the Grade 2 Elite hurdle before landing a hot renewal of the Grade 3 Jerry Fielden hurdle at Newbury 15 months ago, after which he ran a close 5th on lively ground at Ascot a few weeks later. Now, he'd been off for over a year prior to a pipe opener at Kempton's Christmas meeting back in December, but was beaten little more than 4 lengths. Then he looked uncomfortable on the very soft ground at Windsor the time after. He started the 14 to 1 outsider of 4 last time for the Grade 2 Kingwell hurdle at Wincanton, and Hansard came through in that race to lead 2 out, but couldn't quicken after the last and was beaten just under 5 lengths by the subsequent champion hurdle winner Golden Ace, who was receiving, not giving, receiving £8 from Hansard, and the champion hurdle runner-up Burdett Road was second. Now, even allowing for those balmy, bizarre, extraordinary circumstances of Golden Ace's win on Tuesday, by the way, I'm not convinced it wouldn't have won even if State Man had stood up, because I think State Man was beginning to tire. That form from Wincanton is red hot. So back at a handicap of 142 with cheap pieces added for the first time to sharpen him up, Hansard at 20 to 1 each way for 5 places with quite a number of firms looks worth a bit of a dabble. So Hansard is my choice for you in the County Hurdle on Friday at Cheltenham at 2 o'clock. And then to my final suggestion of the meeting in the very last race, the 5:20, the Martin Pipe Conditional Jockeys Handicap Hurdle. Well, there'll be 24 runners. The last of 28 races across 4 amazing days at Cheltenham. And there'll be plenty of punters doing their best to smash their way out of trouble in this race, while others will probably be heading off early to try and beat the worst of the traffic jams out of the car parks. I'm going to be backing 2 in this race. Copec de May, trained by Willie Mullins, makes his debut for New Connections, and this ex-French racer, having last been seen winning a listed event at Auteuil more than 10 months ago. He's been purchased since then by JP McManus. He'll likely be fit enough, but this is a real baptism of fire, and his current odds of around 3 to 1 in a 24-runner handicap, first time out away from France, look very skinny, even though there really has been quite a buzz from the Willie Mullins team around him being potentially thrown in if he's as good as they think he is. In what is often a rough race, though, I think he looks worth taking on at 3 to 1. Willie Mullins' other runners are the top weight Toonservator, Stormbreaker, and Carafon. The latter, Carafon, having tackled Copec de Board and Romeo Coolio in Grade 1 novice events on his last 2 starts, and he makes his handicap bow of 135. Now, Gordon Elliott runs 6 in this, but his Wadhu is the clear first string and arrives looking to make it 7 from 7. She is unbeaten over hurdles. And this mare has been massively progressive, and on her only start this season put up a superb performance when defeating the subsequent William Hill hurdle winner Joyeuse, who was receiving £8 in a hot handicap hurdle at the December fixture at Cheltenham. She clearly goes well fresh, so despite a further £11 rise, Wadhu is the one they all have to beat as she bids for a remarkable 7-timer. Elliott's other runners are Minella 6-0, The Enabler, Timmy Tuesday, Harsh, and Mordor. If the ground happens to dry out, then Mordor would not be without a chance at huge odds, despite being dismissed as a rank outsider, but he really does need a sound surface, so that probably is unlikely following the snow and the sleet showers of Wednesday. Nicky Henderson has 4 representatives, including the hat-trick-seeking East India Express. He's also got No Ordinary Joe, Aston Martini, and Punctuation. They're all in with a chance, but maybe the application of cheap pieces might see Aston Martini do best of the 7 Barrows quartet. And Park of Kings for Paul Nolan has run well on his last 2 starts, most recently finishing second of 20 in a 2.5-mile listed handicap hurdle at Leopardstown in December, and despite a higher mark in Britain, has plenty going for him with the excellent Connor Stone Walsh in the saddle. And no questions asked for Ben Pauling, runs in a handicap for the first time and has been a model of consistency in decent novice events. He's another who can't be ruled out. Now to my selection. Well, like Park of Kings, Copec de May, and No Ordinary Joe, Raglan Road, trained by Henry de Bromhead and the mount of Gavin Bruder, runs in the colours of JP McManus. And I think that he might just have slipped in under the radar. 12 months ago, Raglan Road won a Nays 2-mile 3-furlong handicap hurdle in good style. Then on his only subsequent start last season, he failed to stay 3 miles in heavy ground. It was a real bog at Fairy House, and he was pulled up. Ignore that. He reappeared at Navan 2 months ago off a 10-month absence and was a real eye-catcher, finishing 5th of 19 in soft ground behind Music of Tara, and he wasn't knocked about after the last, after it was clear he wasn't going to be winning. Good to soft ground, I think, would be absolutely ideal for what is an unexposed 7-year-old, And Raglan Road to me is a standout at the 50 to 1 each way for 6 places with Bet365. So is it going to be a skinner for the bookies in the last race of the meeting? Not if we're all on it. Raglan Road is the one for me, and he's one of a couple I'll be backing. The other one available at Out in Front. So those are my selections for Thursday and Friday. Not easy finding winners, especially these huge handicaps, but I don't shirk a challenge. I'm never going to be putting up odds on and short prices, particularly at the big meetings. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing my views. Whatever you're backing, I wish you the very best of luck. A reminder, there won't be a bulletin on Friday for the weekend because I think I've done more than enough this week. Bye-bye for now. Good luck.